Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am your host, Marie Eve Nadine Jean Baptiste. Welcome to the Daily Podcast. I have today a very special guest, another very special guest. I have my friend, Star Moore. I call her Star, but her name is Destardes Moore. She is an attorney in Jacksonville, Florida. And Star, thank you so much for being here with us today.
You're welcome.
I know we had some tech difficulties, but it's totally you.
We
It is totally you. I'm telling you, every time we meet on Saturdays, there's always a glitch, whether it's me, you, it's always a glitch.
It's Apple. It's Apple. I'm like,
Okay, we're gonna blame it on Mac OS. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. Well, thank you nonetheless for being here with me today. I know our schedules are crazy busy, so yeah, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Destardes Moore. I practice here in Jacksonville, Florida. I practice family law and I represent small businesses in civil disputes and do civil litigation as well. So.
Yes, you do. I am not too familiar with civil lit. I am definitely not one to represent small businesses. I know it takes a very special set of skills, I think, to do that because there's just like so many competing issues and so many little nuances that, I think that someone who does that you're special. And then on top of that, to have to do family law, that makes it even crazier.
Majority family law. So I would say about 75 to 80% is family law. So yeah.
Okay. And that's what I was going to ask you. That's like me because like the family law is I would say about 60%. And, my probate estates and trusts is about 30. I'm trying to get that up to, at least 50%. And tax is about, like another 10. So, so I completely get that. So, with that said, speaking of the areas that, you practice, like, how did you kind of get to a point where you were just like, you know what, these are the areas that I want to work in?
So family law just came to me.
Everybody says that. Yeah, everybody says that.
So while I was in law school, I started working on probate matters, and then I had a landlord-tenant matter that I had in law school, and so that was pretty interesting. And so I was able to get that experience. I did the clinics in law school, and so family law. When I was in law school, I decided I was going to start my own practice, basically. So I started like working to reading books and doing all of that to just basically kind of get myself like in that mode and And so when I first started my practice, I started working with a family law attorney that was like, I was helping her with some of her cases because she was trying to transition out of family law. And so that's kind of how I got more involved into it. And then, those cases, they're just like ongoing. So your clients, if you have a good relationship with them, you're constantly, representing them in future actions like modifications or motions and things like that. So that's how.
And so that brings me to a very interesting point, though. How much of your clients, are repeat clients? Because I know I spoke to someone some time ago and he said that, his goal is to make sure that the order is so detailed and, so inclusive that ultimately the client learns how to handle things so that way they don't come back, for a modification and all that. So, and I think that's very interesting, right? Whereas, like you just said, a lot of our clients are repeat, and I have the same experience too. They'll call you a year later and say, hey, this person is not doing what he or she is supposed to do. And then, we end up filing a modification for whatever reason.
So here we have, in order to get a modification, you have to prove a substantial unanticipated change in circumstances. And that's not the entire rule, but that's just a brief, So with that being said, it's not necessarily one that we could have contemplated when we prepared the original order. So it's usually like just some unexpected change, or someone's not following the time sharing schedule and you filed motions and things like that. So it's not always an issue that we could have anticipated. And so a lot of my clients are repeat clients, because sometimes you have the judges, if we go to trial, you have a judge that makes the final order. We don't actually control the terms of that. Although we do sometimes have to prepare it, the judge ultimately, determines that. And so they usually, if they have like a contempt, or if they need a modification of child support or something like that, then we'll, we represent them.
Yeah, and that actually makes sense. So it's funny how, each state kind of has their own verbiage.
Yeah.
In our state, I'm in Maryland, you're in Florida.
Yeah.
We have what's called a material change in circumstances.
Oh, okay.
Right. And it's like, well, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to go, as lawyers do, deep dive, do some research, figure out, okay, does this set of facts I have, does it amount to, what the law has said in the past or is currently saying right now? And I find that I think, and please let me know, but I think it's a very interesting standard. In some cases, it's very clear cut, right? And, I got to find those facts that really lend itself to this modification, because I don't know, I'm not seeing it. Like, how often do you have cases like that? That's kind of like teetering the middle line.
It's actually a hard burden here in Florida to meet. So it's a very hard burden to meet. And so it has to be some extreme circumstances.
Okay. Really?
To file motions, but to actually try to do like a supplemental petition to modify, that's where it's a little bit harder. But motions to address some of the issues, that's not a problem. It's okay. You can always file a motion. That doesn't mean it's going to be granted, but you can always file it. So
that is true. That is true. We get a lot of clients that, they say, oh, okay, I'm done now forever. No, you're not, because their life happens, and people move, people get new jobs, whatever the case. And child custody matters are those that are constantly fluid, and the court understands that. And so we have the standard that the parties can come back and say, hey, listen, this has changed. Can I have whatever it is that I'm asking for? So a lot of parents, I don't think, understand that. They think that once they get this, or once that person has that. But what I can tell you is, at least in my practice so far, and I know you've been doing this for a few years, and we definitely have to talk about your background. What I've seen is, once you get that initial order, it's just that hurdle, like you said, it's just very difficult for you to overcome it. So we work real hard, like you do, to make sure that first order is what it should be, So definitely, how did you
make sure you address all issues during that initial stage? Because you can't come back later and say, oh, well, he's been doing drugs, or he's, you have to address whatever issues or concerns that you know of at that time that needs to be addressed before you get that initial order. You have some,
and that's why I have we have a 19-page child custody intake form. We've talked about that.
Yeah, we have.
It's there, and when my clients see it, they're like, what is this? But as they start filling it out, they realize, and our process is, we send it to them, they fill it out, and then we set up a meeting to go over it to make sure that we have all of the meat and potatoes, right? Yeah. But when they first see it, they're like, whoa, this is insane. But then as they start writing and we have that meeting, they're like, oh my gosh, Marie, I now remember things that I completely forgot about that happened, 2-3 years ago, that's material to this, this case now. And I'm like, see, this is why I have
that. And I still have to implement that, because that's a very important point. Like, you never know what the other side is going to bring up in a hearing. And so it could be years ago. And if the client never told you about it, it's kind of hard for you to defend at that moment. And so that 19-pager is very good.
It really is. And it has done me, real well. I borrowed it from another attorney. And that's one thing I've tried not to do, especially in our groups when we have our monthly meetings, is, we just trying not to reinvent the wheel and not overburden, ourselves. And I think, that in some ways it's worked, and in some ways it's like, okay, we need to start from scratch. But so that brings me to this question, because I didn't even ask. I was so excited to have you on. I know you don't do too well with spontaneous questions. You made sure, and this is so exciting because this is our 4th episode, and hope many, many more to come. But I remember when we were discussing it, you were like, "Yeah, can I be last?"
Well, Marie, I don't do videos, so
I know.
I want you on. I'm like, me? You want
me? I know. And it's so funny because, one of our marketing things that we do is those videos. And I think you have like 5 just stuck in draft for like the past 2 years now. Like, it's just not your thing, but if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. You can't kind of like force yourself to do something you don't want to do.
So, I love you a lot because I'm here and I didn't decline.
I agree.
This is like my first, and then you decided you wanted to do live.
Yes. Yes. No recordings, no making it pretty, none of that. And that's one of the things that I think you and I stick to, right? Especially when we're making like a 1-minute video, it turns into like a 4-hour task.
Yeah.
And it's just, we're so stuck on making it pretty that we don't just like, launch it. And so I just made the decision. I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of being scared. I'm just going to launch it. I'm going to make the decision to put myself and my friends out there. And, so far it's working well. It's working well. We've gotten some really good feedback. And, I was telling Bonnie, I said, we need to have like a round table one day, when we come on, and we can just talk about like the differences in the laws in our states and just different things that we implement. Because I think, as family law attorneys, especially, I think a lot of members of the public, can benefit, from the differences, in our state. I think your state has just a little bit more streamlined, litigation process, where ours is, we have many more hearings and different hurdles and stuff like that. So different ways to achieve, the same result. So with that said, like, how did you make the decision to become an attorney? Like, what was your, aha moment?
So I actually decided I was going to be an attorney when I was like 11 or 12. And I think it was just from like watching like shows. And so I'm like, oh, that looks fun. I want to be an attorney. Look, I had no idea like what I had to do to become an attorney. I just knew that like, oh, this looks interesting. And of course, everyone said, oh, well, it's challenging. It's hard. So I'm like, it's okay. I can do it. So, and then honestly, I just think it was a situation of when, how when you're young, everyone's like, oh, what are you going to do when you grow up? And so I've always said, I'm going to be an attorney. I'm going to be an attorney. I'm going to be an attorney.
Okay.
So I went to law, went to undergrad and then went to law school thereafter and took the bar exam. And so that's pretty much it.
And how long have you been practicing? Like, did you just go straight out, or did you, work for?
So I graduated law school December 2014, and then I took the February bar exam, and so I started practicing in April 2015.
Okay. And did you just open up your own practice and, go from there?
Yeah, I practically had I won't say everything created, but I had everything like drawn out before I even got my bar results because I studied so hard for the bar. So it's like, I know that this is going to be that. So I practically, so I think I started the law firm. I want to say it was like April 23rd. And I probably had I think I received my bar license or bar results like April 20th or April 18th. So we're talking like a few days thereafter. Like I actually had the business established and everything. And then I rented an office from another attorney. She had like a suite. And so that was my initial office. And so, so that's pretty
That is absolutely amazing. And then, so speaking of suites, I know you're in your own suite. You have your own suite. But did you start doing, like, after the pandemic hit, did you kind of start converting to, remote like a lot of people did? Or are you like still every single day in the office like I am?
Well, so I'm young, but I'm also old school, and so I
Yeah.
still have to like print everything and like review it and open the books and read the, and so I can't do everything online. So I do have like things virtually, like I have the my case, case management system,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so we do like communicate with the clients virtually and things like that. But I still do in-person meetings. I still come to the office just about every single day, like even on the weekends sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm basically here. But I mean, I like the flexibility of not having to be here. Like I can work from home or, whatever, but I'm usually here because this is where majority of all the things. I still have paper files. I haven't
Me
converted
too.
to everything being
Yeah.
electronic because I'm
Yeah.
just, that's how I am. Like I open the file, like highlight and write notes and, so I'm still kind of there, although I can transition to virtual in terms of
Yeah.
working with clients and things like that. So
Yeah. I mean, no one can beat like the feeling of a piece of paper in your hand,
yeah,
and I agree. I definitely agree.
yeah,
But I also know that, we're transitioning over to
yeah.
a lot more remote opportunities. Like you, I go in every single day. I have paper files also. From time to time on the weekends, I might open up a file, but I stopped working really on the weekends.
I'm trying to get to that point now. So I'm trying to still get things organized and with the holidays and everything. It's usually like after like a break because I actually did try to take somewhat of a break and then I did get a
Mhm.
little sick in December. So
Oh,
it's trying to like catch up basically. I'm catching up on things and but yeah, it's like a whole family reunion. We come on in, the kids.
yes.
Have
And I
snacks and
love
drinks in
it.
the office. We had so the kids they love to come just to eat the snacks. So
Yep. I know MJ does the same thing. He'll go to the office and he will literally just grab a handful of lollipops. I'm like, you're not gonna have teeth by the end of the day.
I
Like,
love
what are
MJ.
you
He's always
doing?
like, hey,
I
hey.
know, I know, I know. We're actually, I'm actually filming today,
Uh-huh.
at home because he had a half a day. So,
Okay.
I said to him, I said, well, I have to film today, so we're gonna have to go back to the office, and you just have to. You already know. I don't
Yeah.
want to go there. Why do I have to be there? I'm bored. I want to go home. So I'm like, okay, we're just gonna go home.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. So he's in his room doing his homework. But
Mhm.
I love being in the office. I'm surrounded by just really good energy, really great people like you. So for me, the office is definitely, really, really like safe haven. Do
Yeah.
you have like any so, well, before I ask that question, like, what would you say is like the hardest part of being an attorney? Like for you, like
For me, it's delegation. I think I
yeah,
honestly think that's you guys know that I've struggled with that. And part of it is because even if I delegate the task, I'm like looking over it, and of course I print it out, and I'm like marking it up,
yeah, yeah,
and then it's like for another hour or so. So I truly like like giving it to someone that I trust and like
yeah.
knowing that because sometimes when I'm changing things, it doesn't even have to be changed. It's just that, oh, this sounds better. Oh, and then the next
In your mind,
something
yeah,
else, like,
yeah,
So I think that's one of my biggest challenges with being a lawyer. Because I love researching. And I like writing too. It's just that sometimes it's a lot, especially when you have like multiple hearings and then you have to write multiple orders for
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, but I enjoy being a lawyer,
I do too. We're both business owners because you have your solo practice like I do, and I think the hardest part of having I guess the hardest part of our daily routine is having to juggle being the attorney and the business owner.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest parts. Like you too, delegate. I think delegation is huge. I've watched a lot of podcast episodes. I've listened to a lot of things, and I think that a lot of attorneys and business owners actually
Yeah.
tend to struggle with that. And I mean, maybe you can agree or disagree, but this is our baby.
Yeah.
Like we started this, we created this, for whatever reason. right? Some of us because there's no other way, and others because no, I don't want to work for anybody else, you
Yeah.
know? So whatever your reasoning is, I think when you start something and you grind and
Yeah.
you put your effort into it and it gets bigger than you and you have to kind of, get that help in,
Yeah.
it's tough. I
Yeah.
think it's tough to delegate. So I think that that's something that is like universal.
Yeah.
Um, but that I guess that's just me. Do you have like any special daily routines that you have to engage in? I interviewed attorney Gwen. She was my first guest on the show, and she said that she does a lot of like meditations and stuff like that. And I told her, I'm like, with me with meditation, like I'm like, did I leave the refrigerator open? And what are the keys? Oh, okay.
You're thinking about other things.
Everything. Literally. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm supposed to be focused on my breath. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
And it's just like your thoughts are just going. So what are some of your routines that you have?
So first thing in the morning, I do pray. But I do have the same issue sometimes, like when I'm praying, like I start thinking about all the other things that I have to do. So I have to like remember, okay, sorry, get back to your prayer. Like, and then and I've had some days, some good mornings where I would get up early enough where I could actually go for a walk around the track. So I would drive to the track and do a walk, and those are like I really enjoy those days, but I haven't been able to do them lately just because of my schedule and court hearings and things like that. But that's something that I enjoy and I plan to implement back into my schedule, is actually getting up early enough to go and walk, because that actually allows me the time to like pray and just reflect and kind of see, kind of set the tone for the day. And so I do that. I've done that in the past, and I plan to, implement that again. And then I pray. And then I have an app on my iPad.
Okay.
Like devotional things, and so I do that. And sometimes I have to do that throughout the day. Multiple times throughout the day.
Yes.
And it helps keep me grounded and just, real, staying focused on what the purpose is and the goal and things like that. So those are a few things that I do, but I also enjoy being able to spend time with my kids, playing around with them, because they're very goofy and we're joking and laughing and they're fighting and I'm like, stop, and then my son likes to flip. So just spending that quality time with them too, that kind of helps me like, okay, wind down sometimes. So
do you find that being a business owner allows you to have that quality time that you may not otherwise have had?
I think so. Because like, for instance, my daughter, she's in middle school now and she's done volleyball, basketball, and I've been able to make it to her games, Now, mind you, I might have a telephone meeting while I'm driving there.
Right.
But I've been able to like, be very active when it comes to just their schooling and things like that. And so, I don't know if I would have had that same flexibility working at a firm, because like even with basketball, they were having like games at 4:00, because they get out of school at 3:00. So they're having games at 4:00, 4:30. So I'm like leaving work early three times out of the week and then volunteering to do like the stand, the concession stand and things like that. And so I don't think I would have had the same flexibility unless I was probably with a small firm where it was almost kind of like a partnership, obviously. But I don't think so. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to start my own practice as well. I needed the flexibility because my daughter, at the time of starting the law firm, I only had my one daughter. My son wasn't born yet. So that was a huge, that was a huge factor for me. And she's very, like, we have a good relationship and I'm like, I'm not messing this up. I enjoy spending time with her. Her birthday is 6 days after mine. And so like we talk about our birthdays, holidays, like everything. So I have a really good relationship with her. And I didn't want, back then when I first started, I'm like, no, this is a priority for me.
And family is important. And especially in the line of work that we're in, we see families unfortunately torn apart quite often. For one reason or another. There's no to me, there's no fault, right? On paper there might be because so and so did something or whatever,
Yeah.
but I look more at why did the person do what they did? Like, is there something that they're not dealing with, and so forth and so on. And I try to take that approach, not only in business, working with clients and stuff like that, but just being a little bit more kinder to myself, because like you said, family is important. So if I'm in a meeting and I'm supposed to order lunch or something like that for MJ, and I'm like 5 minutes behind, if when it first happened, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should do better. But then I'm realizing, listen, I'm still learning, still doing this. I'm not trying, like you, I'm not trying to mess it up, but he's a little different. You have a girl. That's the beauty of having a girl. They cling to you until like 17 when they're just like, okay, mom, get away. But with boys, he used to be my little, sidekick, and all of a sudden around 10, he's like, yeah, I'm grown now.
Well, yeah, I think that's how my son is going to be, and he's only 5, so
yeah.
He'll be around me, but he wants to flip and do other things, and so and then me and my daughter, we have the same interests. Like, she likes to travel. And,
okay.
So that's I think that's a good thing. So
MJ is getting into that now. I try to do something with him every quarter, because I just, family is important to me too. I'm all about everybody getting along. I do not like to fight. And, so I have to, come up with creative ways, because he's a teenager. Teenagers, they don't want to be bothered. They kind of just want to do their own thing. So like having your own practice definitely allows for that, creativity in your schedule. But it also allows you to be kinder to yourself when, you're not meeting that perfect mom standard.
Oh, yeah, I am. Trust me.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Sandwiches it is. I'm definitely like not trying to, but my goal, like obviously my goal, I make it to every game because I have the flexibility to, and that's but there may be times where I can't, and so she has her dad, and so but for the most part,
somebody will always be there. Just being present, is there. Yes. So I totally get that. As far as your clients, like, how can they best find you? Like, what is your preferred method?
They can contact the law firm. My clients or potential clients?
Just potential clients.
The law firm number is 904-330-4528.
Okay. So, and that's the best number to reach you?
Yeah.
Do you have a 24-hour receptionist?
Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you do? Okay. So they'll always be able to, leave a message. Yeah. I feel like that's one of the best things that I could have, invested in. And I was so, naive and against it at first. And I remember when I first started, I used to pick up my own phone.
Me too. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Right?
Pick up your own phone. Hey, this is more. I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm non-traditional when it comes to just practice and just mom. Like I started the law firm right out of law school. So I have a non-traditional approach with things, and so I don't see anything wrong with it. If you're able to, I'm busy. You want someone there to answer it, but I practice on the go a lot, so that I can be active in my children's lives, and so if I can grab the phone and I'm not doing anything else, I will.
Some attorneys actually, older attorneys still pick up their own phone.
I work with quite a few. Yeah.
And I just think it's like an amazing phenomenon. I mean, for me, I had to stop doing it because what I found is my time was being kind of commandeered, right? And so by like the 5th phone call, I'm running out of gas. And so I'm like, oh, okay. You need to kind of regroup.
I don't answer it. Like, I wouldn't answer it all day, but like, let's say someone hasn't, like, after a few rings, if it hasn't been taken care of and I'm available to answer, I will. And then I try to, obviously, if I have any upcoming appointments, try to quickly get off the phone, but I don't often have to do that. But when I first started, I did answer the phone when it rang, and I did have someone, you know, answering service that was assisting me as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it definitely works. But Star, I would love to keep you. I only promise to keep you for 30 minutes, so I will do good on that promise. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I am so excited that you agreed to this. And I'm gonna have to rope you in again on this. Sorry. No, I really.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know next time. So, for everyone watching, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and thank you so much for excuse me. Thank you to our guests. I can't speak. Destardes K of Jacksonville, Florida. I'm your host, CEO, and founder of the St. Eve Law Firm located in Towson, Maryland. I am Marie Eve, Nadine G. Baptiste. Everyone have a great day and stay safe out there. Until next time. Bye.